What's up, everybody? Danny Brawner here for Man Knows Football, here to give you my thoughts on this week's upcoming match between Granada and Manchester United at Old Trafford as a part of the two-leg tie between the two in the Europa League. So before I get to that, I just need to address something more general to my fellow Manchester United fans out there who, before the Tottenham game, were lodging so much negativity at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I just have to quickly talk about the Tottenham game because there's so much within that game, so much evidence that to you, if you are one of those fans who's been a bit negative, one of those pendulum people I've spoken about before, there's so much evidence of that match that you maybe should have taken a couple of deep breaths and calmed down a bit, maybe done some critical thinking. Because why did we win that game? Why did we look so good in that game? We looked so good in that game because the quality of play was better, not because of anything tactically that Ollie did. He didn't do anything massively different, but the quality in individual players was better. We were able to score the equalizing goal because we were able to do a little bit of one-touch play. Fred was able to do a couple of first-time passes, whereas previously, earlier, up until that point, I was screaming at the TV screen because he was a liability on the ball. We kept on giving the ball away. We kept on making poor decisions, trying to go for the Hollywood ball instead of just simply advancing the ball, passing it back when we should be passing it forward. And in those situations where we pass it back, we end up giving the ball away or just lumping it upfield anyway, just to lose the ball anyway. And I don't think that's down to Ollie. That's down to the quality of player. We saw in the second half, Bruno started to look a lot more like the Bruno that we've grown to know and love very quickly. Better quality. Pogba, who is just now starting to come back into the swing of things after a long-term injury, bossed that game. Cavani, similarly, looked a lot better, a lot closer to the vintage Cavani that we're familiar with from Napoli and PSG and at certain points throughout this season. McTominay wasn't giving the ball away. We were relatively solid in defense, except for a couple of things. Henderson, of course, made a couple of good saves, did in a couple of instances a lot to support his back line. So it's not that difficult to see. When the quality of player is slightly better, we look a great deal better. Mason Greenwood, of course, had his hand in 2 of the goals. His quality looked much better. And when you have that, we're going to look better. It's that simple. Rashford was not good. Whether he's injured or not, he hasn't looked good. He has been scoring goals, but he's a frustrating player to watch. And he's someone that's prone to that decision making, that bad decision making, giving the ball away. So just try to breathe a little bit. We've scored the second most goals in the Premier League. Did you ever in a million years think that that would be the case coming into this season? No, you did not. So I'm just curious to know, because me as an American sports fan, as a New York sports fan, I'm curious to know what other teams you support, what other sports you watch, and if you've really gone through a rebuild before, because maybe you haven't experienced it. I certainly have. As a Jets fan, basically been rebuilding as long as I've been alive. As a Yankees fan, you guys should, if you're European, you should know the Yankees were the evil empire, we're the Real Madrid, but we've gone through rebuilds and it's been frustrating at times. And you have to be patient and you have to be able to think critically with anything in life. It's okay to feel frustrated, but you need to, as a fan, especially if you're getting in front of a camera and providing analysis and sound bites, you know, think about things a little bit before you put out those sound bites. They sound great. It sounds all well and good to say something to the effect of, how is it any different from Moyes, Mourinho, or Van Gaal? But if you stop to think about that for 1 second, you realize that there are quite a few differences. Now, I don't know that Ollie is the man, and there are certain things that do frustrate me about Ollie, but there's no way in a million years that with where we are, you could support the idea of sacking the manager. That's just insanity. So that's just my message to you. Breathe, evaluate your feelings, think critically. If there's ever an issue, try to think about where the issue lies. And especially with sports and managers, is the manager at fault or is he responsible for these things? Do you think at halftime he was like, hey, Fred, I've got an idea. Don't be shit when you go out there. And Fred was like, oh, why didn't you say so? No, right? You think he was up to Bruno? He went up to Bruno and was like, you know how you played for us when we first signed you? Can we get a little bit of that? Of course not. Things just clicked, and sometimes they don't. They will click more often with better quality players. We need to improve the quality within our first 11. We didn't improve our first 11 this year. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Anyway, let's get into Granada. This is a game that we should be winning. This is a trophy that is important to me. Didn't really care about the FA Cup, didn't care about the Carabao Cup. I wanted to win those things. It's nice if we win them. It was frustrating the way we set up against Leicester and the way we got knocked out of the FA Cup. But like Ollie said, trophies can kind of mask what's really happening within a team. They're not the end all be all, especially with an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup where the draws can be so sort of arbitrary and random. Especially if you look at some of the teams that we've had to come up against versus our rivals. It's absolutely insane. I'm looking at you, Chelsea fans. Anyway, so I do want to win the Europa League. I do think that we can win the Europa League. I don't know that we should, because we will be coming up against either Roma or Ajax in the next round. If we lost to Ajax, I'd be frustrated. I'd be saddened, but I wouldn't be all out. You know, Ajax are a good team. Roma are a good team. And in a two-leg tie, shit happens. It depends on the manner of the way we go out. To make a comparison to Mourinho, the way we went out of the Champions League in the year that we were second place under him, the way we went out to Sevilla was absolutely mind-boggling because of decisions that he made to put in Fellaini after months of injury instead of Pogba, just to stick it to him. There's nothing like that going on with Oli. And again, we are second in goals. We're second in goals. So, not everything is as bad as it seems, guys. So we have a couple of rotations that have been forced upon us through very weak yellow cards in the previous tie. Harry Maguire, McTominay, Shaw, all out for this one. Do I think that's going to be an issue? Hopefully not. The only one where I could really see it being an issue is the loss of Maguire, because that means that Tuanzebe has to come in. He hasn't played in a long time. Bai, of course, I don't know if he's even back in the country because of COVID. But Tuanzebe and Lindelof, who's looked particularly strong in European football, should be able to get the job done. Teresh hasn't been really setting the world on fire. He should be fine. Wan-Bissaka should be fine. We're going to have to go with the strongest team available. I would not be rotating out a Bruno Fernandes. I would be going for a Fred and Pogba combination, hoping that Pogba does not get a yellow card and does not receive a suspension going into the next round. But we have to play him. Have to play Bruno up top. And I would not go with an Ahmad or a Shola or anything cheeky like that for the front three. I think we need to go with Dan James because we need to set up a little bit more defensively, and he provides a good shape for us. And I think he would do well to hit Granada on the break because they're going to have to come at us if they want to have any hope of going through to the next round. We have Burnley at the weekend, so I think Cavani could start up front. The only person that I could see and make an argument for leaving out is Rashford, especially the way that Greenwood has been playing, and especially with the injury that Rashford has been carrying. And that should be more than enough to do it. I think that we can put this to bed with 1 goal in the first half. And then with 5 substitutes, we could bring on a Donny. We could bring on a Shola, or an Ahmad should be going ahead of him. Give them some time. That's what I would want to see. Maybe a Brandon Williams to give Wan-Bissaka a bit of a break. Telesh doesn't need one, right? So that's what I want to see. Possibly you could see Granada sneaking one in. Hopefully we just don't make mistakes early. That is basically what I say for any of the previews that I've done for this channel. But I think we'll be okay. It might not be pretty, but that doesn't mean that we have to sack the manager. We're on to the next round. And I do think we have a very good chance of lifting a trophy at the end of the season. I expect De Gea to be between the sticks, and all of the complaints and controversy over the De Gea and Henderson situation. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. What if De Gea said, you know what, I want to go home? And what if Oli said to David, hey, so you have this choice. You could play in the Premier League in sort of dead rubber fashion, either maintaining second place, which is an achievement, or getting 4th place, or you could play in the Europa League and lift the trophy with us one last time. What do you think you would decide if you were in De Gea's shoes, if you were offered that scenario? You would probably want to lift the trophy. So it makes sense. This is not an insult to make De Gea the Europa League keeper, as it were. But anyway, that's what I think is going to happen. I'll go for a 2-1 victory over Granada in this leg. And that would take us to what? 4-1 on aggregate. Easy peasy. This is the easiest cup tie that we've basically had within Europa, within the Champions League, other than Istanbul being in our group. That's the only reprieve we've had. So I think it'll be pretty simple and straightforward. And if it's not, I am going to be on this channel weeping uncontrollably. But we should be fine. Anyway, that's been it for me. I'm Danny Brawner. Thanks for watching Man Knows Football. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below. What do you think is going to be the scoreline in this match? Who do you think is going to start? What do you think about all of the negativity that has been launched at our manager in Manchester United of late? Let us know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.